first scream didn't come from the girl who was slapped. It came from her mother on a narrow Harlem sidewalk thick with Friday evening traffic. A uniformed police officer raised his hand and struck a 14-year-old black girl across the face. In full view of pedestrians, storefront cameras, and a cluster of shocked onlookers, the force spun the girl sideways, her backpack tearing from one strap as she stumbled, shoes scraping the concrete. For a second, she didn't even breathe. Her body froze between shock and disbelief. Then the sound broke loose. Her mother, a woman in her late 30s dressed in office clothes and holding 2 grocery bags, dropped everything. Apples rolled across the sidewalk. A carton of eggs burst against the pavement. Her scream cut through New York noise like a siren. "Don't touch my daughter." At the center of the chaos, the officer, young, broad-chested, pale-faced red with adrenaline, stood with his palms still hanging in the air, as if waiting to decide whether to strike again. People stopped. Cars slowed. Phone cameras rose. The girl held her cheek, eyes wide, now understanding how the world had changed in a single second. Her father, tall and solid, rushed from the corner bodega where he'd gone to grab drinks, seeing only his child, her face, and the officer standing over her. Something terrible was about to happen, and no one yet knew that a black SUV with tinted windows was already turning onto the block. Inside that SUV sat a man who had more power than anyone on that street, a man whose face every cop in New York recognized, the governor. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. The officer's name was Officer Daniel Kruger, 28, short hair, heavy shoulders. He had been restless all day. Too many calls, too many complaints about disrespect. He wanted control. He wanted authority. And when someone didn't move off the crosswalk fast enough earlier, he had muttered under his breath, itching for confrontation. The girl he struck was Ava Johnson, 14, bright, soft-spoken, braids tied with blue ribbons, still in her school sweatshirt. She had been walking home with her mother, Denise Johnson, and waiting for her father, Malcolm Johnson, to join them after grabbing a drink. They were an ordinary family on an ordinary evening, until Officer Kruger yelled. He had shouted, "Hey, move, don't walk behind me." Ava turned confused. She had only brushed past him. Her earbuds were in. She hadn't even realized he was talking to her. He raised his voice. "I said move, don't you ignore me." Before she could respond, he stepped forward, grabbed her backpack strap, and when she twisted instinctively, he slapped her, hard. Now the street was no longer ordinary. People gathered, phones pointed. A delivery worker froze with his bike between his legs. A man in a suit stopped mid-stride. 2 elderly women outside a hair salon covered their mouths. Denise reached her daughter and held her shoulders. "Ava, baby, are you okay? Look at me. Look at me." Ava's eyes were glassy, unfocused. Her cheek reddened. Tears mixed with shock. Malcolm charged forward, voice booming. "You put your hands on my child?" Officer Kruger stepped into Malcolm's path, palm against his chest. Back up, don't make this worse." Malcolm's voice shook with fury. "You already made it worse. She's a kid." Kruger leaned forward, jaw tight, hand hovering near his baton. "I gave a lawful order. She refused. She didn't even hear you." Denise cried. A second officer appeared, Officer Jared Steele, tense, scanning the crowd. He whispered urgently, "This is public. Cameras everywhere. Relax." Kruger hissed between his teeth, "I'm not backing down. She disrespected me." That word, disrespected, was poison. It had nothing to do with law. It was ego, and ego was about to destroy his life. Someone yelled from the crowd, "You assaulted a kid." Another voice, "She didn't do anything." A teenage boy lifted his phone higher. "I got everything on video." Kruger's posture stiffened. His pride was trapped. He barked, "Everybody step back. This is police business." But no one moved. This wasn't police business anymore. This was a line that could not be crossed quietly. A woman across the street shouted, "That girl is 14. 14. Ava clung to her mother, trembling. Her backpack hung by one broken strap. Denise whispered fiercely, "I'm here. I'm not letting them touch you again. I swear." Malcolm took a step forward. "Officer, listen to me. She's a child. We can talk like adults. Nobody's fighting you." Kruger's hand hovered over his taser. "I don't need your permission," he barked. "I'm doing my job. You people need to learn some respect." The words hit like shrapnel. "You people." Denise gasped. Malcolm froze. The crowd erupted in angry whispers. Phones kept filming. Every second added fuel. Officer Steele whispered sharply, "Daniel, stop talking. Seriously, cameras." But Kruger's face was flushed, pupils tight, adrenaline flooding through him. He needed to dominate. He needed someone to fear him. He pointed at Ava. "You're coming with me. For obstruction. For resisting." Ava's voice cracked. "I didn't do anything. I didn't even hear you." Kruger grabbed her arm. Denise screamed, "Don't touch her!" Malcolm lunged, protective, instinctive. Steele stepped between them, shouting, "Malcolm, stop!" Hands collided, bodies strained. Phones shook as people gasped. For a moment, it looked like violence would erupt. Then, a horn sounded. Deep, powerful. Every head turned. A black SUV pulled to the curb. The windows tinted. The air changed. One of the rear doors opened. A man stepped out, flanked by two suited security agents. Gray hair, strong shoulders, calm authority. Everyone recognized the face instantly. It was Governor Samuel Ellington. No sirens, no lights, just presence. The street went silent. Officer Kruger's mouth opened slightly. This was the worst possible moment for him to be seen. The governor stopped on the sidewalk, eyes settling on the red mark across Ava's cheek. His gaze traveled from the girl to the mother, then to the father, and finally, slowly, to Officer Kruger. His voice was not loud, but it cut. What exactly is happening here? Steele tried to speak first, but Kruger stepped forward, chest out. "I'm handling a situation, Governor." Civilian refused orders. The governor looked at Ava again. She was shaking. Denise held her, tears running down. Malcolm stood firm, jaw clenched, breathing like a man keeping himself from breaking. The governor asked softly, "How old is she?" Ava whispered, 14. The governor blinked once. Slow, deliberate, and Kruger's career evaporated in that moment. Governor Ellington approached, not rushed, not emotional, cold, controlled. A security agent spoke into a lapel mic. "Record begins now." The crowd murmured. The governor's eyes never left Kruger. "You hit her?" Kruger's voice shook with ego. She resisted. The governor leaned closer, nose almost touching his. "No, officer, you hit a child." Kruger swallowed. Ava gripped her mother's hand tighter. People in the crowd started whispering, "He's finished." That's the governor. He saw everything. Kruger tried. She was disrespectful. She talked back. The governor didn't blink. That's not a crime. The silence was suffocating. You assaulted a 14-year-old girl. Kruger's chest rose and fell rapidly. Steele whispered urgently, "Daniel, stop. Stop talking." But Kruger was drowning in his own pride. He pointed a shaking finger at Ava. "She needs to learn respect. I'm not the villain here. Her family needs to control her." Malcolm exploded. Control her? She did nothing. The governor lifted his hand. Malcolm fell quiet instantly. Ellington spoke. "You assaulted her. You escalated. You humiliated her. And now you're trying to justify it with arrogance." A slow turn of the governor's head. To the crowd. "How many of you recorded this?" Hands rose. 20 phones. Maybe more. Ellington nodded. "Good. Don't delete anything." Kruger's face drained of color. Steele rubbed his forehead. The governor gestured to his security detail. "Call internal affairs." Kruger whispered, "Governor, please." Let me explain. Ellington cut him off. You assaulted a minor in public. You lied about resistance. You used force without cause. Then Ellington added the words that would echo forever. You just ended your career. Ava was still shaking. Her cheek was swelling. The governor crouched down, eye level with her. I'm sorry you were hurt. You didn't deserve this. Ava whispered, I didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to explain. You're safe now. I saw everything. Her mother cried quietly. Denise said, we were just walking home. That's all. She didn't hear him. I know, the governor said. He looked at her father. Malcolm's fists were tight. He had been seconds away from exploding. And if he had, he would be in handcuffs right now, not the officer. The governor understood that. He stood again. Malcolm, you did the right thing not to retaliate. Malcolm exhaled. Barely. That was my daughter, sir. My baby. I just wanted to protect her. You did, the governor said, and I will do the rest. Within minutes, police cars arrived. A supervisor arrived. Body cam footage was seized. Witness statements were taken. Kruger stood alone, sweating. His posture changed from dominating to shrinking. Steele put a hand on his shoulder. I told you. Cameras. Every time. Kruger shook his head. She disrespected me. Steele whispered. She just ended your life. The governor called out. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Johnson, Ava, I need you to come with me. We're going downtown. Denise looked terrified. Are we in trouble? No, quite the opposite. The governor gestured toward his SUV. We're filing charges. Kruger shouted weakly from behind. You can't do that. I'm an officer. I've got rights. The governor didn't turn around. He simply said, you had rights. You used them to hurt a child. Silence. Then, now there will be consequences. The door of the SUV closed. The engine hummed. The crowd watched. Kruger was left alone on that sidewalk. His career was collapsing. His arrogance was collapsing. And Ava, sitting in the back seat with her parents' arms around her, whispered through tears, why did he hate me? The governor answered without looking back. He didn't hate you. He thought he could get away with hurting you. The city outside the window blurred past. Now the whole world will know he didn't. When the governor's SUV rolled away from the scene, Harlem did not quiet down. It erupted. Phones uploaded instantly. Clips spread through group chats, neighborhood pages, then into larger channels. Within 15 minutes, hashtags appeared. Hashtag Justice for Ava, hashtag Stop Police Violence, hashtag Harlem Girl, hashtag Governor Witness. Comments poured. He slapped a child. Governor was there. It's over. This is going viral. News vans were already turning their wheels. For the Johnson family, the world suddenly became enormous. In the SUV, Ava sat between her parents. Her cheek was swollen, marked red. Denise held her hand. Malcolm stared forward, jaw clenched in a quiet fury. The governor spoke gently. You are not alone. We're going to handle this the right way. A security agent in the front seat radioed. We have internal affairs, legal counsel, and press on standby. ETA 15. The SUV glided through city traffic with tinted silence. Ava whispered, I didn't do anything bad. Denise squeezed her hand. You didn't. Not for 1 second. Malcolm finally spoke, voice steady but hard. If it wasn't for you walking around that corner, Governor, I don't even like to think what could have happened. The governor didn't look at him. He said the truth plainly. I've seen what happens when there are no witnesses. I wasn't going to let this be another one. The engine hummed. New York moved by. Ava stared at the city through blurred eyes, wondering how everything could change in a single minute. Back at the scene, Officer Kruger was being held at the curb, while his partner, Officer Steele, made desperate phone calls. Internal affairs arrived. 2 plainclothes investigators stepped out of an unmarked car, badges flashing. One of them, a woman with a severe bun and colder eyes, stepped straight to Kruger. Officer Daniel Kruger, you are suspended, effective immediately. Kruger burst. "You can't suspend me. I was doing my job. She disrespected me." Her voice was flat. A 14-year-old girl? She ignored my orders. The woman didn't blink. Video shows she didn't hear you. Kruger's breathing became frantic. "You people are ruining my career over some brat." She raised a hand. "If you finish that sentence, officer, the only thing left to decide is prison or plea deal." His mouth clamped shut. Steele stepped closer, quiet. "Daniel, stop." Kruger whispered. "She made me look weak." The internal affairs woman replied, "No, you made yourself look violent." The words were ice. Kruger's knees weakened. Steele turned away, as if ashamed by association. The crowd was still watching. Phones were still recording. Kruger suddenly understood. The city was never going to see him as a protector again. Downtown Manhattan, City Hall. The SUV entered a secure underground lot. Security moved quickly, ushering the Johnson family through corridors lined with portraits in dark wood. Ava walked with small, slow steps. Her cheek throbbed. She was frightened, exhausted, confused. But every step her parents were beside her. Malcolm's hand hovered protectively at her back. Denise wrapped her arm through Ava's. Inside a conference room, cameras, microphones, lawyers, and aides were already waiting. The governor gestured to chairs. "Sit, breathe, drink water. This will be long." He stood at the head of the table, commanding the room without raising his voice. A lawyer approached. "Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Johnson, Ava, we are here to protect you. We want statements, medical photographs, and we are pressing charges. Criminal, civil, departmental." Denise trembled. "I don't know how to do any of this. I just want my daughter to be okay." A female attorney put a hand on her shoulder. "She will be. We're here." Malcolm's stare was intense. "What happened to that officer?" The governor answered calmly. "He will be suspended tonight, arrested tomorrow, prosecuted this week." Ava looked up, eyes shiny. "Will he go to jail?" There was a long silence. Everyone looked at the governor. He said, "If I have anything to say about it." Then he finished, "Yes." Ava nodded slowly. A storm of relief and fear passed through her. She whispered, "I don't want him to hit anyone else." "You just made sure he won't." Within hours, news stations blasted headlines. "Officer hits black child in Harlem. Governor witnesses incident." Commentators argued. Interviews started. Community leaders spoke. Politicians called for action. Activists flooded the streets with signs. By midnight, protests surrounded Precinct 12. Chants echoed, "Justice for Ava. No more violence. Protect our children." Cars honked in solidarity. The story was everywhere. But the most important part was what the family did next. Before statements, before press, before politics, a doctor needed to see Ava. At St. Luke's Hospital, a pediatric specialist examined her. Ava sat quietly, clutching her mother's hand. The doctor, a calm woman with soft eyes, spoke gently. "It will bruise, but you'll heal. Emotionally, that takes longer." Ava whispered, "Why did he hit me?" The doctor paused. Denise's eyes filled again. Malcolm stared at the floor. The governor stood in the doorway, silent. Finally, the doctor said, "Because he thought you couldn't defend yourself." Ava swallowed. "But I did nothing wrong." "You didn't need to," the doctor said. "You existed, and that was enough for him to be threatened. But today, you are not alone." Ava nodded, absorbing words she would remember for years. The doctor asked, "Do you want to talk? Say how you feel." Ava stared at the ceiling. "I feel small." Those words shattered the room. Denise bent and hugged her. Malcolm wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. The governor closed his eyes. No one spoke for a long time. Next morning, a press conference. Crowds. Microphones. Cameras. A sea of reporters filled the hall. The Johnson family stood behind the governor. Ava's cheek was visibly bruised. The governor stepped to the podium. The room fell silent. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. He simply spoke. "Yesterday in Harlem, I witnessed something I will never forget. A police officer struck a 14-year-old girl without cause. He was not attacked. He was not threatened. He was not in danger. He was angry, and he used the power of the badge to justify violence. Murmurs rippled. Flashes blinked. The governor continued. I want every citizen to hear me clearly. The badge is not a license to abuse. It is a duty to protect. People leaned in. The governor pointed to Ava. Her name is Ava Johnson. She is 14. She did nothing wrong. She is a child. A wave of emotion swept the room. He said, a child should never fear the police. Every word struck like a hammer. We will prosecute the officer. We will demand justice. And we will show the public that accountability is not optional. Then he added the sentence that would run on every news banner. No officer is above the law. Applause erupted. The Johnson family held hands. Ava lifted her chin slightly. For the first time since that slap, she felt strong. 2 weeks later, criminal court. Officer Kruger entered the courtroom in a suit, not a uniform. He looked smaller, thinner, color-drained. Cameras lined the back wall. Journalists filled every row. Community members sat with folded arms, glaring. The judge sat high, stern, unimpressed. The governor was present. The Johnson family sat together, Ava between her parents. Kruger's attorney tried to speak of stress, confusion, misunderstanding. The judge interrupted. She is 14. That ends your argument. Kruger tried to defend himself. I was provoked. The judge's voice cut sharp. She did nothing except exist in your presence. You assaulted a child, in public, on camera, with witnesses, including the governor. Kruger sagged. The prosecutor spoke. We request full conviction, loss of badge, forfeiture of pension, and sentencing. Kruger whispered, please, this will ruin me. The judge leaned forward. You ruined yourself. The moment you raised your hand against a child. Silence trembled. Verdict, guilty. Applause burst. Kruger's face collapsed. His life was over. The family breathed. Ava didn't cheer. She simply exhaled. Justice didn't feel like victory. It felt like relief, even after prison was recommended. The humiliation continued. News anchors dissected the footage. Editorials compared cases. Other victims came forward with similar stories. Some were adults. Some were teenagers. Some were elders. But Ava was the one who changed everything, because the governor had seen it with his own eyes. Talk shows debated. Posters showed her bruised cheek. Her face became a symbol, not of pain, but of truth. Her mother's quiet strength became a banner. Her father's restraint became a lesson. Their family didn't seek fame. They sought safety, and they forced the city to look at itself. Weeks passed. Ava went back to school. The first day, the hallways were silent. Students stared. Some whispered, but her closest friend ran and hugged her tightly. We missed you. Teachers treated her gently. Principal thanked her for courage. One afternoon, a stranger approached her outside, an older woman with a soft voice. I watched your story. My granddaughter was hurt by a police officer once. No one believed her. You made people believe. Thank you. Ava nodded. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she cried. But she was healing. At home, Malcolm and Denise watched her laugh again. They held hands more often. They talked late at night. They were still afraid of the world sometimes. But something had changed. The world had been forced to see them. One morning, a letter arrived. Elegant envelope. Seal of New York. Ava opened it slowly. Inside, Dear Ava, you may not know it, but you changed the city. People watched a child stand in the face of injustice and survive. They saw a family stand strong. They saw truth that is more powerful than any badge. Be proud of your voice. Be proud of your courage. With respect, Governor Samuel Ellington. Ava held the letter to her chest. Her mother wiped tears. Her father nodded, silent. She whispered, I'm not small anymore. Months later, a new law passed. Every police encounter involving minors must be recorded with immediate public review. It became known as Ava's Law. At the signing ceremony, Ava stood beside the governor. Reporters asked her, What is the message of your story? Ava thought carefully. She looked at the cameras, at her parents, at the crowd. Then she said, when someone hurts you, don't stay quiet. Someone will listen. Someone will help. Bad people don't get to stay powerful forever. Applause thundered. She smiled. That evening, Harlem was calm. The same sidewalk where everything began was filled with families, laughter, and music. Ava walked past it holding her parents' hands. She glanced at the exact place she had been struck. The concrete was just concrete again, but the world had changed. People would pass there every day and never know what happened. But the city remembered, and from that corner of Harlem onward, whenever a badge was raised without cause, someone always whispered, "Careful, we saw what happened to the last one,